Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're charting a course to a really captivating natural haven in southeastern Minnesota, Carley State Park.
Mm-hmm.
Picture this. You've got a landscape sculpted by the winding Whitewater River. You see these imposing bluffs watching over hidden valleys,
Yeah.
gentle hills rolling out.
Yeah, it paints a picture.
That's pretty much the essence of Carley. And what's really special, I think, is how it changes through the seasons. You get this vibrant look with Virginia bluebells in spring.
Oh, those bluebells.
And then this autumn spectacle, with the oak and maple trees just bursting with color.
It really is a remarkable spot. Shows off the geology and ecology of that part of Minnesota so well.
Right.
The way the river has interacted with the land over millennia. It's created this really distinctive environment full of stories if you take the time to look.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we want to do today. Kind of unearth those stories, figure out what makes Carley State Park tick, what makes it so compelling. We'll be using a few different sources, some practical RV guides, an article from Minnesota Trails I liked, and this really detailed Carley State Park management plan.
That plan's a deep one.
It is. So if you're keen to discover a new bit of Minnesota or you just love learning about places, well, you're in the right place.
Let's jump in.
Okay, so the lay of the land, we know it's along the Whitewater River. How does that river really influence the park itself?
Well, the Whitewater River is, you could say, the main architect of Carley's scenery. Definitely the dramatic parts.
Oh, okay.
It's carving action over time. That's what gave us those big elevation changes. The bluffs, the valleys, they really define the park's character.
So it's like the park's backbone.
Pretty much, yeah. It shapes the land, provides habitats, and gives you those scenic routes through the park. And then you have the rolling uplands nearby, which offer this nice contrast. Lets you appreciate the scale of the river valley.
And beyond just looking pretty, the river means recreation too, right?
Yeah.
Fishing, kayaking.
Exactly. Our sources consistently mention fishing and kayaking as, popular ways people engage with the river there.
Makes sense.
The river's flow, its features.
Yeah.
It seems really well suited for both. A different way to see the park.
Okay, let's talk seasons. Spring sounds amazing, especially with those wildflowers. That Minnesota Trails article really hyped up the Virginia bluebells. What's the deal with them?
Spring at Carley? Yeah, it is just described as a revelation, and the bluebells are a huge part of that. There's the Wildflower Trail. It's actually the flattest, easiest trail they have, and it just becomes absolutely saturated with these blue flowers. Usually April, May is peak time.
Wow.
It's really immersive, like walking through this sea of blue. Fantastic way for almost anyone to see that burst of spring life. Pretty accessible.
And then flip the calendar, you get the fall colors.
Yeah.
Just as anticipated, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. The management plan and the RV guide, too, they both point out how the forests are dominated by oak and maple trees.
The classic fall color trees.
Right. Exactly. So when autumn hits, they just transform. You get this incredible palette of reds, oranges, golds painting the landscape.
Yeah.
It's that classic Minnesota autumn scene, and seeing it line the river valley, that can be really striking.
So beauty year-round.
Yeah.
But what about getting active? Hiking seems like a big one there. Tell us about the trails.
Sure. Carley's got nearly 6 miles of trails, and they cater to, different levels.
Okay.
A lot of them wander along the north branch of the Whitewater River, which is nice, good views. You feel connected to the water.
Right.
Like we said, the Wildflower Trail is that easy stroll, perfect for families or just a gentle walk. But if you want more of a challenge,
Yeah.
there are steeper trails. They tend to be a bit further out from the main parking and camping areas, so more secluded, definitely a more vigorous hike.
Gotcha. And for folks who want to be on the water, we're right next to it. Fishing, kayaking, we mentioned. Anything else for a more laid-back day?
Yeah, for a more relaxed time, Carley has a dedicated picnic area. It's right on the banks of the Whitewater River. Imagine, having lunch with that scenery. Pretty appealing. And if you want to stay longer, really soak it in, there's camping. The campground usually opens around Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
And interestingly, the management plan connects horseback riding to the park's natural attractions. Suggests it might be another way to see the place, though the other sources didn't really detail any specific horse trails or facilities.
Let's dig a bit deeper into the parks, like natural makeup, bluebells, oak, maple. We got that.
Yeah.
But what's the broader ecosystem like?
Well, beyond those spring wildflowers and the big stands of white pine, oak, and maple, Carley supports a pretty diverse range of birds and other wildlife.
Right.
You'd need the full management plan for detailed species lists, of course. But the other sources give you this general sense of the park as a valuable habitat, a place where you can expect to see, various bits of Minnesota's native fauna.
This management plan keeps popping up. It
Yeah.
sounds really comprehensive. What's the actual significance of a document like that for a state park?
That's a good question. A management plan. It's basically the park's long-term roadmap. It's blueprint.
Okay.
It lays out all the natural and cultural resources, sets goals for managing them, and proposes strategies for everything from visitor use and building facilities to protecting the environment. It's the guide that helps make sure the park is, enjoyed, but also preserved for the future.
And this specific Carley plan, it dates back to the mid-'80s. Funded in '85 by the Legislative Commission on Minnesota Resources. That gives it some historical weight itself.
Absolutely. The fact that the state put resources into such a detailed plan back then shows they recognized Carley's value. That long-term vision probably was shaped a lot of what visitors see in the park today.
Now, here's something I found really interesting in that plan. It says Carley is on the eastern fringe of Minnesota's prime agricultural region. How does that geography affect the park?
That's a really sharp observation. The plan notes that the land right around Carley is this mix: cultivated fields, pastures, hay fields, and then these wooded hillsides mixed in.
So park meets farm country.
Exactly. It creates this interesting dynamic. You have the protected park environment right next to a landscape shaped heavily by agriculture.
And that matters because
Well, it can affect things like wildlife movement, water quality, just the overall ecological connections. It makes the park a really crucial refuge within this working landscape, and it probably makes it more accessible for people living in those nearby farming communities, too.
speaking of nearby places, the plan lists quite a few within 25 miles of Rochester's Umbro Falls. That really highlights its role in the region, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Listing those towns underlines that Carley is a significant recreational spot for a pretty large population in southeastern Minnesota.
Yeah.
That 1980 population figure, over 173,000 within 25 miles, really drives home the potential demand for places like Carley.
The plan even touched on the local economy, manufacturing, retail services in the Tri-County area. Why is that relevant for a park plan?
Understanding the local economy helps you understand who your potential visitors are, what they might want.
Oh, okay.
That mix of industries suggests a wide range of potential park users, different schedules, different interests. It also hints at the park's role, potentially, as an economic contributor through tourism.
Let's switch gears to what people wanted to do back then, around 1979, according to the plan. Picnicking was popular.
It was. The plan said picnicking was a desired activity statewide and locally in that Region 10 area around Carley. But interestingly, they felt the supply of picnic spots was okay at the time. There were already quite a few places to picnic in the wider region.
72, it mentioned.
Right.
But camping seemed different. There was projected growth in demand. How did Carley stack up there?
Yeah, camping was ranked second statewide in terms of what people wanted to do, and they were projecting almost a 10% increase in camping trips for the next decade.
Wow.
The area had private campgrounds, plus Whitewater State Park nearby had quite a few sites. Carley itself offered a mixed structured spots for vehicles, primitive group camping, even walk-in sites for canoeists. So they were trying to cater to different camping styles.
And who were these campers mostly? Did the plan show where they came from?
It did, yeah. There was a map showing camper origins. A big chunk came from Olmsted County, that's the Rochester area.
Okay.
And the Twin Cities metro area was another significant source of visitors, so it drew people from both nearby and further away.
Looking at the park itself back then, mid-'80s, what facilities were actually there?
It was pretty basic, according to the plan. The picnic ground had tables, charcoal grills. The campground had 20 vehicle spots, plus a group camp area with 4 pit toilets.
Rustic.
Yeah. For trails, about 2.5 miles for hiking and 3 miles marked for cross-country skiing in winter, and then a small service area with a little parking lot and a shed.
So relatively modest development then, and the plan laid out ideas for upgrades. What were some of the key proposals?
They proposed quite a bit, aiming to improve the visitor experience and manage resources better. Things like redesigning the vehicle campground, maybe more spots, better layout, developing a self-guided interpretive trail so people could learn more as they walked.
That's always nice.
Yeah. Relocating the park entrance road, probably for better flow. Putting in vault toilets, an upgrade from pit toilets. expanding the picnic area and improving and maybe expanding the hiking trails too, plus strategies for resource management and maybe buying more land to protect key areas.
It's really cool to see that kind of long-range thinking. Now, you mentioned earlier Carley is in karst country. What exactly does that mean?
Right, karst country. That term describes a specific type of landscape. It forms where the bedrock is soluble, usually limestone or dolomite.
Okay.
Over long, long periods, groundwater slowly dissolves this rock. And that creates unique features, both above ground and below. Things like caves, sinkholes, streams that just disappear underground.
Like Mystery Cave nearby.
Exactly. While our sources don't detail specific karst features right in Carley, knowing it's in this region explains why you have attractions like Mystery Cave nearby. It's all part of that same geological process. Provides context for the terrain.
Good to know. So for anyone inspired to hit those trails at Carley, any essential safety reminders?
Absolutely. Always good to review safety basics no matter how experienced you are. First off, remember you're responsible for your own safety out there.
Right.
If it's hunting season, take precautions like wearing bright colors if needed. Definitely stay on the marked trails protects you and the environment.
Good point.
Hiking with a friend is safer. Always let someone know your plan, where you're going, when you expect to be back. Be ready for weather changes. Pace yourself so you don't get exhausted. Practice. Leave no trace. Pack it in, pack it out. And yeah, be aware of pests like deer ticks and poison ivy. Just be mindful.
Solid advice. Now, we've focused a lot on Carley, but it sounds like it's also a good jumping off point for exploring that whole southeastern Minnesota area. Those Reddit comments mentioned some cool spots. What else is nearby?
Yeah, those user tips give a great snapshot of the region's appeal. Whitewater State Park came up a lot more. Great hiking, fishing, often compared with Carley. Forestville Mystery Cave State Park was another big one. Known for the cave tours, obviously, but also the historic town, trout fishing, and apparently zero self-service, which some might see as a plus.
Maybe.
Niagara Cave, another cave system nearby, gotta mention too. For wildlife fans, the International Owl Center in Houston sounds pretty unique.
An owl center.
Yeah. And for food.
Yeah.
People raved about the Aroma Pie Shop in Whalen and Bloodow's Bakery for donuts.
Can't go wrong with pie and donuts.
Definitely not. The Root River State Trail also got high marks paved trail for biking. Walking goes through cute towns like Preston and Lanesboro. Someone even suggested stopping at Karst Brewery and Fountain right off the trail.
Nice.
For more fall colors, Great Bluffs State Park was recommended, the National Eagle Center for seeing eagles up close, and Mauer Bros in Elba near the Whitewater Wildlife Management Area sounds like a popular local spot.
Lots to do.
Oh, and one important heads up. Rattlesnakes are present in that part of Minnesota, so just something to be aware of when you're out exploring.
Good to know. Wow, it really sounds like Carley State Park is this wonderful anchor point in a fascinating part of the state. So, wrapping up our deep dive, what are the main takeaways for someone thinking about visiting Carley?
I think the main thing is that Carley State Park offers this really genuine chance to connect with the natural beauty of southeastern Minnesota. You've got the diverse landscapes shaped by the river, the stunning views year-round.
The bluebells, the fall colors.
Exactly. Whether it's the spring wildflowers, especially those bluebells, or the amazing fall foliage, there's always something beautiful to see. Plus, you have almost 6 miles of hiking for different abilities, the fishing, kayaking, camping. It's a really well-rounded outdoor experience.
So it's more than just a pretty park. It's a place to really engage with nature there.
Precisely. It's an invitation to get out there, explore, learn, and just appreciate the beauty of that unique landscape.
So if you're listening and you're now inspired to plan a trip, where can you find the nitty-gritty details?
The best bet is the official Carley State Park website. That's where you'll find the latest on trails, camping reservations, and importantly, the vehicle permit you'll need.
Right, the permit.
Yeah, it's usually around $7 for a day pass, or you can get the annual Minnesota State Parks Pass for about $35, which gets you into all the state parks. Good value if you plan on visiting more.
Excellent. Okay, as we finish up our exploration of Carley State Park, here's a final thought for you to mull over. Considering its rich natural history and all the planning that's gone into it, what future stories, what ecological shifts might unfold along the banks of the Whitewater River in the years to come.
Something to think about.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.